What's our, are you first? Same order as last one? Okay. Yeah.
I thought you go first.
I do?
Yeah. It was you then.
Okay, I guess I'm starting off whenever we're ready.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Kind of. All right. Once again, I'm Sean Morgan. I'm a student at SIUE. Briefly, I'm going to start by talking about some of the finer points that I've brought off about Peter and Paul from their website. Peter and Paul, as most of you guys know, is most of the Metro East St. Louis area. Our contact was the gracious Con Christensen. She's the managing artist and co-founder of the Community Collaborative. The sites that we worked with over the semester, we worked, of course, here at the LeBray House. I worked at the Cherokee Red Chair Studio, and the girls worked at the Shelter and Meals programs. Some of the arts disciplines that we've worked over the semester, we've done some sketching and drawing, some storytelling and mapping, plenty of painting, and of course we did some mosaics that turned out pretty phenomenal. We pretty much stretched over the vast art disciplines. We did a little bit of everything, so that was kind of nice. Basically what Peter and Paul constitutes is it provides housing and support services to those who are homeless and transitioning homeless. The personnel is collected over the last 30 years, reliable on volunteers such as ourselves and students to help provide aid and provide aid to the homeless men and women of the community. This began in about 1984. Brief history. It began when a group of concerned neighborhood volunteers responded to what had become a large neighborhood issue. The community's decision to become involved led to the opening of a winter shelter, which operated from the basement of Saints Peter and Paul Church in Soulard. I can never pronounce it right. Where it continues today, which is where we get the Peter and Paul namesake. Volunteers created the meals program to offer nourishment and a sense of community to the neighborhood and beyond. And today that program feeds over 30,000 meals each year. About 1988, Peter and Paul took its first steps in the realm of transitional housing. Today, the transitional housing program operates as a savings program for the men and women on their way to reestablishing themselves in the community. In addition, for what we've been working with nearly the past 15 years is the Community Collaborative program, which has introduced art on a weekly basis as a way of empowering participants to find their own voice in spite of overwhelming odds. The Community Collaborative began as a partnership between local artists and staff, as well as clients of Peter and Paul Community Services. Their primary goal of Collaborative is to create group cohesion among residents of transitional housing programs, as well as between residents and staff. Outside collaborative meetings, Peter and Paul staff mostly interacts with clients on a professional basis, pushing them to build life skills. The collaborative process places Peter and Paul Community Service residents and staff on relatable levels as they become art students instructed by local artists in a variety of different art forms as we've done over the semester, such as creative writing, dancing, sculpture, painting, and some of the other things that we have illustrated on our board that we have included from our vast ventures this semester. Residents and staff, above all, succeed and fail together. We learn to connect to one another on a personal level, which is what makes this all that more meaningful. And today, over 85% of the residents in the clinical transitional housing program successfully transition to a life of self-sufficiency and independence. Some other programs that I didn't really get to touch on too much, specific programs in Peter and Paul are the Emergency Shelter, Meals Program, Transitional Housing, LeBray Center, Positive Directions Program, Safe Haven, Street Soccer, and of course Community Collaborative. And I would like to close out by stating Peter and Paul's mission and values, because I think that's one of the first things that we drew a lot of attention to when we came looking into Peter and Paul. The mission and values of Peter and Paul Community Services is to provide housing and supportive services to those who are homeless, especially those who experience mental illness or live with HIV. For over 30 years, their values have stood as a testament to thousands of volunteers in their community. By offering those served hope, empowerment, compassion, hospitality, and a chance for independence, we may help in solving homelessness for our community, which we would like to hope with serving Peter and Paul this semester, we have aided in doing.
Thanks, Sean. Like I said, I'm Savannah Reeves, and I wanted to talk a little bit about our connections that we made outside of this organization in comparison to Peter and Paul. And while we have been in class, we have this little acronym in our textbook called CRAFT, which stands for Contact, Research, Action, Feedback, and Teaching. And we did a little activity in class at SIUE going through each word and trying to define what it means to encompass those words and demonstrate it through our organizations of volunteering. And so what we did was we took the time to go back through these words and kind of reflect on how we went about it in each way. So the first one, contact, means to cultivate trust, mutual understanding, and commitment as a foundation for a creative partnership. So we got in touch with Con right away so that we could make sure we had as many volunteer opportunities as possible throughout the semester, because we knew our time would be very limited with all three of us having different schedules. So we definitely wanted to get in contact right away. And Con is awesome and quickly responded and gave us the contact information for Jane, who led Val and I with meals and shelter programs, and also with Lou, who helped out with Thursday Collaborative, which is what Sean was a part of. And our communication was always constant throughout the semester, and everybody always did their best to continuously email each other back and forth, make sure everybody was always on the same page and there wouldn't be any confusion when we actually got here, because we looked like we were organized while we led our projects. And Con had to trust that we knew what we were doing in order to lead the project. So thank you for putting that trust in us, Con. The next word is research, which, according to the textbook, is to gather information about the people, places, and issues you are working with. So before we even initially emailed Con, we did a lot of research on the Peter and Paul Community Services through their website to make sure that we knew what to say and we weren't going to ask really silly, obvious questions that we should have known prior to meeting with Con. And we wanted to know as much as possible so that we could ask her the things that we didn't know. And it's always a rule of thumb, you should always be as prepared as possible and have an idea of what to expect so that you can conduct yourself in a professional way. So we really tried our best to do that and collect as much research as we could. And the website is awesome, by the way, so for students watching this video, check out the website, get involved, it's really awesome. Next is action, to produce a new work of art that benefits the community. So we personally were put in charge of leading several art projects for Peter and Paul Community Services Collaborative Program. We first made a tentative schedule and had Con revise it to best fit the interest of the participants. Some of the things we did were a symbols project, potato printing that we incorporated with the Dream project. We did mapping, we made legends for our maps, and we had a whole large list of other projects that we wanted to do, and obviously there just wasn't enough time for it. So after some revision, we narrowed that down a lot, but we definitely had a huge plan of action made out, and we were very happy with the things that we actually got to do. So next is feedback, to spark community reflection, dialogue, and organizing to spread the impact of the new work. At the end of each at the end of each project, everyone had the opportunity to show and explain what they created and kind of give their own backstory on that. Like last week, we put all of our maps up, and they're still up, which is pretty cool. And everybody just took turns explaining what was on their map, what each symbol represented, and everything like that. So it's always a good kind of viewpoint into someone else's mind. You see more than just the artwork in front of you, which I always love. That's my favorite part of this. And everybody always gives really, really good feedback. Everybody's very encouraging. It's a very positive atmosphere. I love it. There's just so much more meaning than just art projects here. And lastly, we have teaching, to pass on new community building skills to others to sustain the impact. And now that our time with Peter and Paul Community Services is over, we really want to share the experience that we've had, not only in the form of this presentation here, but within our personal lives as well. And I know I've told a ton of my friends about the experience that I've had, and I plan on spreading the word even more, sharing it on Facebook. I know there's a Facebook page for Peter and Paul, so send those links to people. And with time and planning, I really want to get other people to come back here and revisit this place, not just for this class, but because we really want to and we really enjoyed it. And other than that, we wanted to make some connections with our very first project we ever did for this course, which was researching some community art collaboration outside of the St. Louis area. And so for Valerie's, her main points that she wanted to make for the comparisons was that there were a lot of collaboration projects that took place, but only a few of them were art-based. So the people in that organization didn't have a lot of consistent art going on to unleash their creativity per se, whereas here at Peter and Paul, you guys have a definite organization, the collaborative program, that continuously offers art. And so you can have art whenever you want, which is really, really cool. It's always there for you. And for my research that I did, my organization was a dance program, which was really interesting. They incorporated dance with real world situations and hired architects and scientists and just real world people outside of art to collaborate and create projects that way. But it was only one form of art. We're in contrast. Hello. We're in contrast here at Peter and Paul. It's apparent that everyone tries to incorporate as many art forms as possible. Like we did drawing and painting, mosaics, mapping, everything. So there's very huge diversity. Peter and Paul is very well rounded, and we really appreciate that. And finally, Sean's research that he did, the organization was focused on public schools, and they had a lot of similarities as far as what the program does. It's nonprofit, it focuses on growth and development. There's a wide range of artistic ventures, and they heavily rely on volunteers and local artists. However, that organization is specifically focused on like high school kids and children and everything, whereas here at Peter and Paul, there's absolutely a wider range of ages, and I feel like anybody would be welcome here. There's no age discrimination at all or anything. It's very well-rounded and accepting of everyone. So I would say in conclusion to that, we definitely feel that Peter and Paul has a lot more strengths than some of the other organizations that we've researched throughout this course, and we really appreciate it here.
So, and then I'll just pick up from there. Once again, my name is Valerie Seith. I'm also an SIUE student, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about an explanation of what we did and our roles, and a little bit of behind the scenes, what was going on when we did show up for collaborative, prepared to do a project, what was our process like, and then also what we learned about our collaboration skills that we didn't previously know. Basically, we've covered a lot of ground already really quickly, and from that, you all have a lot to be proud of, from what Sean explained from the history and what Xavier explained in comparison to other organizations. We really got it going on as far as the art program here. So our experience with coming into that community and our participation and how we worked it, to give you a little view into our window, was that Sean was basically our main communicator with Con, handling all the emails, and that was wonderful to know that one person was really on target so that we could delegate the other tasks and know that communication was taken care of. Outside of that, all of us were basically equally responsible for planning all 5 of the art activities that we did here at LeBray, and that worked out really nicely because we gave each other just the creative leeway to lead or to follow depending on however it was working out, and those roles were shifting and changing constantly, and that was really amazing. And then we brought Con into our large list of things that we wanted to do, and she helped to really hone us in, and so it was really the 4 of us collaborating together. In addition, we did delegate specific tasks in preparation to the projects amongst ourselves, So as things came up, like, oh, we need the glue sticks, and then we're gonna need this, and we're gonna need that. And so we all just kind of volunteered to take on different tasks. And I think what really worked well about our group was that we're all like excited to do it. We were all present, we were all ready. And so none of us were hesitant, nobody was hard to get a hold of, everybody was willing to do something. So that really just helped a lot, and you really changed the dynamics. What we learned about our collaboration skills that we didn't previously know. I know a lot of you guys had mentioned, like, you were shocked to hear that we weren't art majors, which was really funny, you know, because we were doing, you know, everybody had such great feedback, as Savvy mentioned, about the different projects. And we really learned that we actually are artists. Maybe all of us are artists. You know, we all have it inside of us to be creative and really work our minds in a different way than we're used to with our different backgrounds and majors, and think and use our minds creatively, and then to see that materialize was really amazing. And then lessons and flexibility was one of the major things, because I know it sounds like, wow, you guys, you know, it sounded like it was such a great experience. At the same time, there were challenges, and we did have to grow. And so every time we faced a challenge, or maybe we were stumped in a moment, we actually, a skill that we used is we got silly. That really helped us to grow. And so I wanted to let you guys into some of that silliness, kind of our behind the scenes of what we did, and that would be a really great way to end our presentation as well on the high note. Before I do that, my last point was that it is possible to merge many ideas into a successful project. That was a huge lesson for us, because it's not just one way, it's not just one person's idea or the highway. It's like, okay, this is going to totally change the plan, but both things can be incorporated, 3 things can be incorporated, 4 things can be incorporated and come off without a hitch. So those were our major lessons. And finally, just to share, whenever we did maybe feel stuck or didn't know what to do next, we really got silly, and we had these little characters. One was the Quackafilitator, which actually Sean has a picture of on his presentation. It's so close and dear to our hearts. It's just like this little quacky duck, and like a rubber ducky, and we allowed him to facilitate for us when our brains were no longer working. But it was a way for us to stay loose, stay relaxed, stay calm, and keep it moving forward. So just through letting those creative juices flow, maybe we did have to joke around or whatnot. We also had this concept, the glitter bomb, you'll notice is on here. That was basically just representing our enthusiasm. We want it to be awesome, you know, we want it to be so amazing, like a glitter bomb. So that was a theme. And then we also have this kind of story with these characters. One is right here, that's the Palmifer of Liberty. She's basically our heroine, which is a female hero, right? She's the hero of our story, and she battles against the villain of our story, which is the clock fiend, as Savvy was mentioning, with like these time constraints and maybe meeting deadlines. So in this epic battle, she, you know, shoots glitter bombs out of her upside down Christmas tree. That's the Liberty, you know, fighting for the justice of Peter and Paul Collaborative. So at any rate, those were it's a little insight into really how we operated, and we got so natural with each other, and that way we were able to get so natural with you guys too. And we're about to lead into personal reflection, so I'll just kind of keep going and then give it to you guys. Basically, I really just feel like the very last art collaborative that we did here with you guys when we made the maps, everybody really opened up and started to share their personal story, started to share things that were meaningful to them, and I really feel like there was trust in the room, and there was a level of understanding. It was a safe space, and so we were able to use the art to empower ourselves and to talk about things that maybe we otherwise wouldn't in other settings. So I really just wanted to say thank you to everybody for doing that and allowing us to be a part of it. So thank you.
And I think a great way, kind of like she said, the best way to connect is through art. I think most of us came in here, and numerous of us, you know, would reflect on how we're not artists, and you know, oh, I don't have a drawing bone in my body or this or that. And in actuality, we all have our own unique styles that came together to really define some truly amazing stories. My big thing for this experience is, you know, I was so fortunate, and it is a very humbling experience. I absolutely enjoy every minute of being able to connect on personal levels that I honestly did not see. I came in open-minded, but really unsure about what this was going to be. And I learned so much through Con and through the groups and through everybody, whether it be working one-on-one like with Kimmy and some of her sketching, or anybody else that's asked us for anything. It's surreal for me. And it is very sad to see it come to a close. You would like to see, you know, more opportunities come in the future. And a great thing that Con told me last week was, you know, eventually everything comes around its way. And everything intertwines and everything has its reason. And I absolutely believe that all this happened for great reasoning, and I will not take 1 minute of it for granted. And I thank each and every one of you for allowing us to be a part of this and get insight into this world, because there's a lot of people that don't know and that don't realize, and I think they need to, you know, a lot more awareness needs to be brought to people, and it needs to be put out there. Yeah.
Oh man, how am I gonna top that? Oh god, now you're crying. Okay, well,
Good.
when I first came here, I thought I had this in the back of my mind. What if nobody wants to do art? What if everybody's just sitting there like, man, I don't want to do this. Like, this is a stupid project, and then we would be embarrassed and have to be like, come on, guys. Like, that was my biggest fear, but totally was not an issue at all. Everybody was so gung-ho about every project we did, and it was so wonderful. It was an amazing experience to be here, and like Valerie was saying last week with the maps, like, I feel like everybody just kind of, this is my life story, and I don't care if you're still kind of a stranger, I'm going to tell you everything. Like, that's how I felt about it, and that, like, really, really means a lot to me personally, having those human interactions and connections and meeting people on that level. And I know communication was a major theme in our course, in the classroom setting and everything, and I've had a bigger realization about how big of an outlet of communication that art is. I think we spent more time learning about each other through the art projects that we've done, as opposed to just, you know, hey, what's up, and having a conversation. So I think that's a really special thing, and it was very cool. And even outside of that too, like Pierre, for example, who's not here, he and I would talk about music every single week that he came over here to visit. And even though we didn't get to, that was actually on our list of things to do, was create musical instruments and play some songs. And even just having conversations with him about some other art form, like, really opened us up. And I consider all of you guys friends now. Like, we've had such a good time, even though it's only been a few weeks, even though we just met you guys. You guys rock too. Yeah. So, oh man, I'm really gonna miss it here. So thank you again, everybody, for letting us be here and share what we have to give and learn from you guys and everything. So it's been great. You guys have anything else you want to say?
I was just going to point out, so we don't have like a computer screen or a projector or anything, so we went old school with our visual aids, and this can be passed around the room, or you can zoomed up to the camera as well. There's just some pictures of our experiences there, and then I just kept my mosaic here until the presentation, just to show, here's one example of a real life art project. Some of you may remember doing this one, and I'm really happy how mine came out. It was, you know, awesome that, you know, it got grouted and framed, and so it's everybody's efforts together that really pulls these art projects in. So we have time for Q&A, maybe a few minutes. If anybody or wants to even open the dialogue, we do have a few more minutes, and then we have a short art project planned for today, because I know it was a presentation day, but we also wanted to do something active with you guys. Does anybody want to say anything?
Does anyone want, after they get their graduation slips, considered, they're still an artist, either or commercially or refined, because we're all the same. We can do it.
Yeah.
If you say it, you can do it.
I definitely identify myself as an artist now.
Because a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people think they can't do it, and you automatically accept that and put it in yours. But once you get out of school, you see.
Mm-hmm.
I think-
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, did you have your hand up?
No.
Okay.
Do you have a question, Eric? Do you want to say anything to them now that this is their last day?
No.
You want to tell them how much fun you had?
No.
Maybe tell them thank you.
Huh?
Tell them thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. It's okay, we can read your mind.
Yeah.
He's hungry.
Yeah.
He's hungry. Okay.
Great job. I'm very, very proud of the work that you've done here. And this is very, it's not old school, this is very Khan-esque in your presentation, is it not, Khan? That's
Kathy
not old
knows.
school, that's just artist school. So it's wonderful, great visual aid. And really given anyone who wouldn't know, you've given them a good snapshot at how art can be an entree into people's lives and people's stories. So for you all, no art majors here? You're not an art major?
I'm kind of a freelance artist on the side. I've done commissions before.
Okay. What's your major?
Biology and with a focus in animal sciences. So I want to play with animals at
And then draw
That's-
them.
that's
Play and
slightly
draw.
artistic.
Yeah, okay. So for each of you then, how do you think this work influences your career path or career goals? I mean, what do you see as this supporting or influencing that?
I would see a big support on mine as I'm an exercise science major. I actually was a former art student, but I think this really greatly ties into mine because I want to do some personal training and cardiopulmonary rehab. So I know that I'm going to have to work with a lot of different vast ranges of individuals, and it's a great experience to be able to know that you're not just in one place. It opens up to a wide array, and to be able to open your scope and go, oh wow, I was originally looking here and now I can actually see a little bit more 360 and accept those things in. I think that's going to ultimately make me not just better, in my learning of all this, but implementing later on in life, dealing with everybody and hopefully having my scope more than just in a gym or just here and there. There's a good possibility. I know there's other programs that, maybe I could end up working somewhere and still be able to contribute, to my community through what I do. So.
For me, I'm a political science and women's studies major and minor, and but my first career is as a hairstylist, which is a very creative path. But I think I looked at it so much more on the technical side, just as a stylist, and then also working for corporate has really stifled creativity. So I'm looking forward to reintroducing more creativity into hairstyling, and then also this, we're also working in the construct of social issues here too, which is going to apply, and I think I have been able to see how key art can be in dealing with any social issue, really, in continuing to reintroduce that and support it.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm an occasional freelance artist and I'm also a full-time dance choreographer. But I really want to challenge myself to apply art towards my zookeeper path that I want to chase. And I was actually provided with an idea from one of my professors. He said there's a field within the education department at zoos where the primary goal is to educate the public about certain issues with animals and everything, and you would have to be in charge of creative projects, maybe even first-hand drawing, making some kind of poster or whatever, and just going out and talking to people, hey, this penguin's endangered, this is why you should care, all these things like that really need that creative focus to it. And so I've definitely been considering that, maybe what if I go down that path instead of being the actual keeper in the cage with the animals, that's nice and productive and everything, but there's also this side as well, and I feel I could take things that I've learned here and apply to that if that were my path that I would follow, for sure.
I want to say something. I guess just from one student to another, it was really cool to see your passion for the project. I'm really big about transfers of energy, and just like listening to you all talk, I could just tell that you all had like an aha moment in this process, and that it was something bigger that you actually expected. So just wanted to give kudos to you on that, because a lot of times we get focused on like who we are, but we forget what we're innately made of. And this is more like occupational therapy talk coming out of me, but every human is innately creative. So whatever you can do in each of your own paths is just to remember that there is something within all of us that wants to do and create and just be. And art is just something that in any form you can be who you want to be all the time, and you can express and tell stories. So going forward, just keep that passion, keep that spark in your eyes, you know, keep that magic, because not only does it keep you young, but it keeps your life fun. So
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Short time I've been here, I've been towards life or art for quite some time, but never really got into it. But you know, I really loved it, and I really can't wait to go with it.
Yes.
Really can't wait, and I just love coming here. I'm so excited, ready to come to art class.
Yay.
And I'll miss you guys.
Yes, you too. Make sure you send him a picture of that sword when you're done with it.
Better.
No, I will.
Anything else? I think that's our spiel. Before you guys get me,
I know, I'm trying really hard.
Well, I have little gifts here, and I just realized that when I pulled these little bags out today, they're Christmas bags. So
Yes!
Offer of Liberty is slightly Christmas tree.
right. So for the girls, I have some Regional Arts Commission note from the training. Yeah, I don't know how I ended up. Yeah, and then yes, so there it is right there for you to find your way at the crossroads to whatever you're going. And then, John, this one is a project that we did with the guys at Allen Avenue Transitional a couple years ago. We took sketchbooks, and if you look inside there, there's something that the guy who designed that sketchbook wrote that I thought you would appreciate. You never met him, but he still stays connected to the program, sort of peripherally. He's housed.
Do you want to read that out loud?
yes, it says, I am art. I am not a collection of series of skein displayed separately. I am one painting of many painters. I have layers upon layers of different skeins painted on me, thick with depth, changing with the angles you view me. That's deep. I like it.
Yeah, so
I'm sweating.
Hey, let it out.
I'm okay. I'm good. Thank you, Con.
You're welcome.
We greatly appreciate it.
Well, I just want to say that I learned a lot because I had not only these 3 students, but one from WashU, one from SLU, and it seems like there was even a third one. Plus I had my own students at Webster, so I felt like I was going in about 6 different directions, but it was a great semester because there was so much, all the things kind of overlapped with each other and intersected and enriched each other, so we hope you come back. We'll be here.
Absolutely.